finance government up to about 5%, and that might derail the disbursement from the IMF. But Finance Minister Seth will also be in the house today. Kwame, let me start with you. Are you aware of this committee's decision to ask the Bank of Ghana to at least finance budget deficit up to about 5%?
Well, I'm not aware because it hasn't come to plenary. This is probably a journalist who got a scoop from Finance Committee. So I can't talk extensively about it. But I mean, as it's being published, let's face it. Not even in America do we have zero financing by the central bank.
So the IMF demand is outrageous. That's
sometimes look, we are a sovereign country, and you see when you read the report, according to this, this is not about NDC saying let's do this, NPP saying let's do this. The Finance Committee, with very senior members who have been in government before under NPP, knows that running a country is not basically what IMF says or what the IMF doesn't say. There's a need for you as a country, a developing country, to have certain level of cushion. So to say that we should have zero, and I'm asking IMF, which country actually, including America, Britain, and Germany, have this level of this thing? But at the end of the day, you see, when we enter into this arrangement, of course, we are members of IMF. It is not a one-way traffic like we dictate to you. We've always said much of what we are doing under this program is homegrown. I am not aware that this has become topical and been discussed. But as you said it, when the finance minister comes to the house, I am sure this will be one of the things that will come out of whatever he's bringing to the house as to whether we're going to go along with this or not. But
but then you agree that if indeed the IMF document or the program had been submitted to Parliament before approval, perhaps you could have noticed some of these things.
Yeah, well, but in any case, every country on this planet is reviewing their economic performance because of what is happening on the world market. So it is nothing new for Ghana to adjust as well. Of course, but by the time this budget and things were done, the oil price was at a certain level. Oil has become a major part of our revenue basket. Things have changed. So it is appropriate for the finance minister not to leave the people's representative in the dark. Come back and tell us exactly what the situation is and where Ghanaians should be looking at in the short to medium term. And I think it's the right thing. But it will be wrong for me to preempt what he's coming to say. I simply don't know. Let him come, and then the people's representative would decide as to what is the way forward. Okay.
Honorable Afenyamaki, let me come to you. Perhaps Kwame hasn't gotten, like he said, it has not come to the main plenary. Okay. But the select committee is of the view, from the story from the finder, is that zero financing being asked by the IMF is simply unfair because it will hamper development. So at least 5%. I think that is recommendable.
I'm a member of the finance committee. And
so I'm sure you have a lot of information.
We deliberated on this matter. But surprisingly, for the first time, Kwame didn't want to talk much. It doesn't come as a surprise, does it? But I pity this government.
I see.
Yes, you know, I pity this government.
Politics.
Why do I pity this government? Perhaps they were under the impression that they were going to the IMF for IMF to pamper them. But they forgot that at the point of signing the deal, the IMF boldly undermined the authority of the states and the government by granting interview to Graphic and going on to make serious allegations against this government, to the extent of saying that when we discovered oil, we were under the impression that we had gotten to heaven and were spending center, right, left. That is what the IMF boss boldly told Graphic, and Graphic reported it on its front page. You've forgotten that somebody is controlling you. You've forgotten that you no more hold your own views as supreme. So you are being told, do this, do that. Look, at Akosombo, it was a very sad situation where government had its own amendment to the bill, and the IMF team also had its own amendment, additional amendments, and forcing government to accept it. Let me tell IMF, that we are opposed to the government on many things that they don't do right. But on this, the minority is going to support the government position, or is going to disagree with government agreeing to the zero financing. We, the minority in parliament, are seriously opposed to this zero financing.
You want to derail the IMF program?
What derail? You cannot. There is the president a governor? Is the president a governor of a state? Is the IMF boss the federal president of Ghana? What are we talking about? You cannot. We have a law. The current legislation is talking about up to 10%. If you say that, the 10% is too much, you should make room. Why? You run in government. There should be funding available for major projects. We agree. There's a national interest. You cannot sit somewhere and dictate to this government. But once again, you see, today we are supporting them. They've been so irresponsible. They've been so incompetent. And today, somebody sits at Washington and tells you that do this, do that, don't pay this, don't pay that. What did you do with all the oil revenue? Kumasi, just the runway. You just did the asphalt. You didn't put up a single infrastructure, Kwame. And you said $29 million. SADA, 200 million Ghana cedis. Interest, 99 million within 3 years. Zero work. Then you paid. So when you go to them, they give you a paltry sum, 900 and something million. What money is that? It's not even up to $1 billion. And they are telling you, do this, do that, do that. They are virtually running your economy for you. Where did your homegrown policy get to? Your so-called localized policy. Please keep quiet for the time being.
Okay, go ahead.
Kumasi Airport expansion project.
Please,
I'll get to the chance to.
Kwame, don't debate.
I thought so that yes, we'll go into the figures.
You just did ask. Have you been to Kumasi?
Yes.
No. Have you been to Kumasi recently?
Yes.
Have you been to the Kumasi airport?
Yes. The asphalt on the tarmac is different from the one on the
we don't have the information on this. Let's stay on the issue.
You know, there was no single. It's just the aeronautical light and the asphalt. $29 million. Do you think $29 million is $29,000?
Equipment.
Which equipment?
That can make us land even in the night now.
Listen.
Okay.
Navigation equipment was
I don't want to interrupt you when you're talking. But the point
But you are mentioning my name.
I expect you to take notes. After my submission, you rebut.
Okay, honorable.
The point is that
get ready to wrap so that council can come in.
You have mismanaged so much.
Just mention SADA, let's go. That's where you want to go. Mention SADA, let's go.
You mentioned it already.
He mentioned it. Okay, then let's go.
Okay, Kwame, let's go. Okay.
You see, you've mismanaged this economy. So much so that any objective thinker who looks at you seriously will say no.
Have you got new offices in Parliament?
Kwame,
how did you pay for it?
I hope you're not going to interject again.
Okay.
Allow him to.
Oh, he's my friend, so we just.
Okay.
You know,
wrap up.
Good friends are
you wrap up for.
They have a way of taking you off your guard. Any objective thinker who looks at this economy over the past 8 years will say that, look, these are people who really do not understand governance. Yes, we are seeing some projects. You've done something, I agree. No doubt, in all sincerity. But if you want to do comparative analysis, if you look at them in relative terms, and I end on just one example, the Commander Sugar Factory, they want all of us to applaud them. I would add on to the applause that yes, you've taken Indian facility, $35 million, and you're saying 7,000 jobs, no problem. But you've received huge monies. The JIDA investments.
The SADA.
Once again, the SADA is a reality because SADA is a big shame.
I know. You never speak publicly without
But okay.
Are you forgetting that you would also
wrap up? Honorable Oppong will have.
You don't want us to have a very peaceful morning.
All right.
You see, no, he's not right. To be fair, yeah. Especially when Mr. President comes from the north. This would have been a single successful legacy that this government would have bequeathed to the country and other successive government to come and emulate. Like Kufuor introduced NHIS, he brought the Metro Mazda, today you are adding on and doing your branding, etc. like we have the free school feeding.
Are we still talking about IMF?
Etc. It's all inclusive.
Okay, all right.
It's an ipso facto matter.
Okay.
Eh?
All right.
So
I'm grateful.
If you mismanage, then you give IMF those youngsters. Some of them don't even have their masters. They come. They come.
No. I'm not.
Some of them may not. Some of them may not even have the experience that Setekwe has.
All right.
They will come and dictate to the government. They will come and dictate to the government because you don't know what your priorities are.
Okay.
Yet you want to stay in office for another 4 years to make it 12.
I'm grateful.
Are you aware the Dumso is back? When I returned from Winnipeg,
we'll talk about that.
I slept in darkness. Are you aware?
I'm grateful. Yes, Dumso is with us.
Dumso is back. Are you aware?
I'm grateful.
Dumso.
I'm just in my village. There was no light of
yes, why would there be light off in your village?
Yes, there's no light off in my village.
Okay, gentlemen,
but there's light off in
can you allow your colleague on the panel to also make his submission? I'm grateful.
This is my only opportunity to speak in public. You have parliament. So
yes. All right. I'm grateful, gentlemen. Okay,
anyway,
but is
Kwame going to speak again?
No, Kwame will speak again. He has promised not to speak again.
I just wanted to be sure because I have issues to take you on.
Okay. He has promised not on this matter. Okay, let's.
When we were in school, our teachers kept reminding us that if you go a borrowing, you go a sorrowing, and that whoever keeps your purse keeps your right. So the very day that I heard that we are going to IMF for policy credibility, I lost hope.
But even Central University, are you sure?
Kwame, today you have been impatient.
Are you sure Central University haven't borrowed any money?
We're running out of
don't you have TV3? Have you borrowed before?
Yes, but
have you borrowed?
Let's concentrate.
This is what you want to do.
Borrow is not a problem. Everybody, I'll get you the chance. Has borrowed. I've borrowed.
I'll get you the chance to read.
Have you borrowed before? Have you borrowed before?
Amen. Lawyer Oppong, please go.
You have been unruly this month. This is not you.
It's a Monday, so let's have a smooth week starting today.
Lawyer Oppong, please go. Bad day. Take it in good faith. We all get our bad days. What's wrong with you?
Lawyer Oppong, please go ahead.
Thank you. Well, I'm not.
You are the future
I'm not against the act of borrowing. That's why I use the phrase, though colloquial, that if you go a borrowing, if you continue to borrow and borrow and borrow, what you are doing is you are mortgaging your right and your sovereignty, if you are a state, to the person who is now your creditor. And you will continue to borrow to pay what you have borrowed, and successively you will just be in debt. It's also evidence that you are not able to keep within your means. All right? You are not able to keep you within your means. That's all that it means.
Is it as simple as that?
That's how simple I take it.
You don't borrow to go into development?
That's what I'm saying, that. But there is a extent to which you borrow. In this country, every year before we buy cocoa from the farmers, we have to go and borrow in order that we can buy the cocoa beans. So are we saying that we are in this huge successful business of buying and selling cocoa, and we are always making losses? Talking about our relationship with IMF, we have the Bank of Ghana Act, as he said, Section 30, that we can borrow not in excess of 10% of the total revenue of the fiscal year in which the advances were made. And that even in cases of emergency, the Bank of Ghana and the Minister of Finance, the government, can determine how much they can even borrow in excess. And we allow non-sovereign persons to come and use some kind of agreement or discussion or MOU to vary the act of parliament that the sovereign people have passed. All right? It's all because we are indebted to them. Then again, we sit here, we made the point that, look, this IMF bailout is a glorified name for a loan. It is a loan. And Article 181 clearly states that in a situation like that, the people of Ghana who must pay these loans must know what is contained in the agreement. You got some members of parliament say, oh, but that's how we've done it all again. Thankfully, later some of them then came out and said that, well, the agreement, the IMF so-called bailout agreement, must be in parliament for approval. Otherwise, it is a clear illegality we are engaging.
Fought an alter ego argument, and very interesting. Senior counsel,
yes.
Their alter ego argument was that Bank of Ghana would pay from its dividends. So it is not a government policy. It's not government money that are going to be used to repay. So it shouldn't come to Parliament. But that's a matter for another discussion.
Okay.
We've taken a step on that.
I'll pretend I didn't hear you interrupt a lawyer. I'll pretend I didn't hear you.
No, I sought his leave to add on. That was an interruption.
We are in the court now.
When you leave, you apply for leave.
Yes.
If you apply, you will grant you. But
no, for you go on. Let's
apply for
you.
Talking about Bank of Ghana, Section 30 says that where payment of the advances and overdrafts is unduly delayed, the bank may transfer the debt to the public through the sale of treasury bills. So at the end of the day, even if it's Bank of Ghana that are going to be responsible, the Bank of Ghana is a state institution. And if they are not able to pay this debt, we, the people of Ghana, will pay. It is not for nothing that the Constitution, in our wisdom, collective wisdom as a people, say that when the state is going to borrow or engage in any international agreement with an international institution, the people of Ghana must know the content. As we sit here, no one, not at least members of Parliament, not my member of Parliament, knows of what is contained in this IMF loan agreement. And no wonder you'll be there, then a bit of it will come out, and then there will be discussions and confusion all over. What harm will be caused the state? Is this a state secret? It's not a state secret.
If the document goes to Parliament, is that the question you want to ask?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. What harm will be caused to the state? Not just go to Parliament, for the people of Ghana to know. They should even publish it. But least of the expectation is that it should go to Parliament for our members to get copies. It has been done. It can still be ratified in our name. We are not so much against the agreement, but we are so much interested in what is it that we are mortgaging our future for. Because of 1 billion, we are so bogged down to so many unthinkable conditions, to the extent that this agreement, which has not even received parliamentary approval, effectively amends the Bank of Ghana Act, which the people of Ghana have enacted for themselves. So this is the problem we have. And I think that this is an opportunity for those who are opposed to the IMF. Have they seen the IMF agreement before? It's just all that they have heard, that is zero financing. Have they seen the agreement? Okay. If they have seen it, they should let us know the content before you have the strong position to oppose it. But otherwise, let us all stand against this kind of imposition which you have brought upon ourselves. And please, it's not a government thing. It is the decision of the people of Ghana. The government or the president is our trustee. He takes decisions that affect us. We also have, as beneficiaries, to know what we are indebted for. And that is why I think the president, since IMF, and there are a lot of communication from them, as he said, without even consent or so, they went out talking about some areas of the document. I think that stopped the president to order that even if this agreement will not go to Parliament, they should publish it for all of us to know. Because we are sympathetic. Why will a government hand be tied behind its back that you cannot borrow when we need so much for the development of the state, just because an individual who has promised you just about 350 or so a quarter or within a season should just hold you for ransom? It's not possible. And as he said, look, some of the people they are dictating to here have even taught them in Harvard and so on. And yet, because we owe them, and because we have asked them to come and teach us how to make our policies credible, it's very painful indeed for a sovereign state to now rely on a group of people who are not even citizens, or even if they are, to now come and exhibit sincerity and credibility in the management of affairs of their own people. Very sad. I think that it is about time these agreements, in spite of the way they are couched, the stabilization agreement, and so there's what we call economic equilibrium. They should just amend it and say that if any, they can even go away with their 350 or so. Master, we'll be better off.
I'm grateful. Let's wrap up on this one. We're told that 8 people were killed in an accident on their way to the cemetery. Daily Graphic, Ghanaian Times have that story. But I'm asking us to talk about, because of what we see on weekends around Accra, Kumasi, other cities. Now it's getting to the rural communities. We're told this one is at Chim Achiase, yes, in the eastern region. And it will interest you to just run around the Awudome cemetery, vehicles virtually taking over the road, people hanging left and right, some on top of the vehicle and all that. Really, the police seem to be overwhelmed. But a quick one, Kwame, let's start with you. How do we deal with this?
Well, I must say that the motor traffic unit of the police service and DVLA, other corporate organizations have been trying as much as possible to educate all of us on the need for us to conduct ourselves in a more safer way when we are on the road. There's no doubt about that. But you would also understand that anytime you get onto the road, you will see activities of some people who you wish they don't behave like that. And unfortunately, it happens more over the weekend when people take things much more freely. Maybe they go to a funeral. They probably consume more than they should consume in terms of food and all other things. Alcohol. And then either the sorrow or the joy and other things get in their way. And I always say that sometimes some of the vehicles that are being used are also not properly maintained in many ways. I've seen many times where people even forget about the insurance on their vehicles and all these things. So I think, first of all, I mean, our condolences to our compatriots who have lost their lives, and we pray and that God accept their souls. But we who are living for now should not shelve the fact that driving is also a risky thing. As much as possible, do the right thing in terms of make sure your vehicle is in good shape. Also, when you drink, don't drive talking on the phone, which many people, including myself, may be guilty of all these things, so that we can all be safe on the way.
Okay, Kwame, I'm grateful. Lawyer, let me come back to you, but I don't want us to. Kwame has talked about the injured. Professor Mills's 4th year anniversary yesterday. We remembered him once more, 4 years after his departure.
I thought that one should have come to me rather than. Okay,
he was the president of the Republic of
Yes. You know? Yes. I would have loved him.
Fenyo is looking at you. Lawyer, a quick one on that.
The first time I met him was when we were called to the bar in '99, and he was the one as the vice president, I think, who came to give the speech. Because we have heard of him when we went to the faculty. We've read copiously about his industry in terms of contribution to academia, and we all wanted to see him. Unfortunately, when we got there, he had been at IRS, and then he became the vice president, so we lost that. But his speech on that day really touched me, and I felt for him in terms of his delivery, tempo delivery, his sense of humor, which in itself is also have some curative, if you like, measures, which a sad person can be revived by it. I mean, he was a wonderful person, but perhaps, as was said about Buzia, he may not have been the best politician, and perhaps he shouldn't have gone into politics. But I mean, may his soul rest in perfect peace until we meet him again.
All right. Honorable Fenyo, a quick one.
On the first issue of the road accident,
funerals
and all that. I wholly associate myself with the submissions by Kwame and rely on everything he said without more.
Yes.
On the issue of the demise of Professor Mills, 4 years on, I came to also read about his good works as a lawyer and a professor of law. And for the others, I'm sure that the very seniors who came to experience him the more have said it. But I had just one great opportunity to interact with him, less than 2 minutes after the 2008 elections, yes. And I went to my uncle, Dan Markin, and there happened to be an interaction, and I had the opportunity of talking to him, and he said, now who of a NDC now, where's a MPP now? I didn't know that he knew about my being an MPP and all that, and I'm very close to my uncle Dan Markin, and he's neck deep into NDC, and that was it. I mean, I saw that sense, I experienced that sense of humor.
Humor.
Unfortunately, I think a lot of Ghanaians still would want to know how his final departure from this earth. Why are you shaking your head?
Oh, Honorable, please wrap up.
No. You should tell me why he's shaking his head.
No, you wrap up for me. I quickly would.
Why are you shaking your head? Why are you shaking your head?
4 years.
Why are you shaking your head?
I'll get Kwame 1 minute to say something. So you.
No. So I just want to ask him why he's shaking his head.
I'll ask that person on your behalf.
You have decided today to deny all of us our right to freedom.
I can't even shake my head sitting in my seat.
It's part of the intimidation.
I Kwame was your party leader. 1 minute and then we can.
What he wants me, Honorable Afenyo Makin wants me to say is the memories of Professor Mills will live with us for a very long time. That's between the two of us.
Kwame, I'm grateful. Kwame Agboja is the Member of Parliament for Ataklu and still asking the mandate of the people. On my right is a legal practitioner, lawyer, Oppong, and then to my extreme right is a Member of Parliament for the Efutu constituency. Gentlemen, I'm grateful for your time.
He's also asking.
Also asking, and then
you're also asking for the mandate of.
I'm sorry.